Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years. We're dedicated to delivering quality auto parts, expert customer service, fast and free shipping, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. So visit us at 1aauto.com, your trusted source for quality auto parts.
In this video, we're going to be working with our 1996 GMC Sierra K1500. We're going to show you how to remove and replace your vehicle's airbag clock spring, which is responsible for the operation of the driver's airbag as well as your horn. If you like this video, please click subscribe. We have a ton more information on this and many other vehicles. And if you want this part for your car, you can follow the link down in the description over to 1aauto.com. Here are the items you'll need for this repair. Remove the negative post from your battery using a 5/16 or an 8mm wrench. Be very careful, this wrench isn't long enough, but if you have a longer one, you may be able to hit the positive battery terminal with it. You want to be very careful you don't do that. Remove the terminal and isolate it from the battery. Now, just so you can see, because it's pretty difficult to show on the back of the steering wheel, there are these notched pins, all 4 of them on the airbag, and these sit into these 4 holes. So what I did to release them is there's openings in the back you can reach through with the flat blade screwdriver and pry them up and out of the way. Pretty difficult to get back there and see that, but you just need to reach in there and pry it up out of the way with your screwdriver and it'll pop itself up. Remove the airbag. There's a little hook on the harness. You need to disconnect to get this out all the way. Remove the orange safety. You may need a screwdriver to release the electrical connector here. Put your seatbelt through the steering wheel. This will help to hold it while you break the 21mm bolt in the center loose. Release your seatbelt and remove it from the wheel. Make sure that the steering wheel is nice and straight and flat. Finish removing the 21mm nut and wiggle the wheel or hit the back sides. Now, if you can't just knock the steering wheel off by hand, you can use a steering wheel puller. This is actually kind of a universal puller. These are available from 1aauto.com, the same one we have here, and it comes with a variety of bolts. So pick the ones that fit your vehicle. Go ahead and thread them all the way in. You can just do this by hand because they'll bottom out in there. If you try to get them much tighter than that, you could risk damaging something underneath. Once those are in, install the center bolt. Tighten that down until it bottoms out on the center bolt of the steering wheel. Remember to try to keep this straight. Using a 19mm socket and ratchet and holding the wheel straight, tighten down the center bolt. Once it comes free, the wheel should come off pretty easily. Carefully remove the steering wheel. Slide the wire for the airbag clock spring through it. Remove the snap ring on the clock spring with a pair of snap ring pliers. Simply put the tips of the pliers into the openings on the snap ring. Spread the snap ring and lift it up out of its grooves. Slide the snap ring off. If you have a tilt steering column, make sure that it is tilted all the way up. Grab the lever firmly. Pull that out. Remove the 2 T25 Torx on the bottom of your steering column cover. Pull down to separate your column and then push in and pull out to release these hooks in the back. Now there are 2 of these inverted T5 Torx that you need an E5 inverted Torx socket to remove. However, if you have a 6.4 millimeter, it fits on there pretty snug, and as long as you go careful, you should be able to spin them right out. Reinstall the lever for your tilt column if equipped. Push down, remove the lever again so you don't bump it. So it's hard to show, and we'll show you when the piece is removed, but there's a small hole in the top of the ignition cylinder that you can get with a hooked pick. And I'm looking through the hole for the hazard switch to see this. What you need to do is push down on that. You want to hold your key like you're trying to start it, and then push down on that little hole, and you'll feel it release. Slide it out as far as it'll go, then turn it back some, and remove it fully so you can remove your steering column upper cover. Now, just to give you a better idea of what we were doing with that cover on top, and yours will be right here blocking your view, but you can look through, reach into this hole, key to the start position, push down, pull out, remove your pick, rotate backwards, and remove your cylinder. Slide the clock spring off of the steering shaft. Pull the orange safety tab under the dash and release the connector for the clock spring. Now, we're going to be replacing ours, so what we're going to do is just cut this connector off the end, and then we'll pull the harness out of the loom. And rather than go into that whole loom again, we'll just route it down the side and put a couple of zip ties on there to keep it in place when we install our new one. Here we have our old airbag clock spring that we removed from our vehicle and our new part from 1AAuto.com. As you can see, with the exception of some minor aesthetic differences, these parts are exactly the same. We have the same connectors for the airbag side, the same lock tabs, and the same opening for our steering column. We also have the same connector, however we cut our old one off since this goes inside of a large harness, and to save time and make this job easier, you can just trim that off and then route this wire down the side of the harness to make things a lot easier and faster. So if your airbag clock spring is causing issues with your horn or your SIR system in your vehicle, then this new part from 1A Auto is going to go in direct fit, just like your original equipment, and fix you up right. So what we're doing is looping a couple of zip ties around our old wiring harness. And you'll notice I'm not tightening them fully because I want to position them, and it's easiest to get them installed up here. So we'll just take a couple, slide them down. Line up your new clock spring. Leave the lock tab in place for now. And route your wiring back through the zip ties we've put in place. When you've finished routing your wire, reconnect the electrical connector under your dash. And slide the red safety tab back into place. Then you can tighten up all of your zip ties. And you can trim the ends and make them look a little bit nicer if you want to. Spread open your snap ring. Slide it back over the shaft of the steering column. use a small flat blade screwdriver while pushing down on the clock spring to slide the snap ring into its groove and wait for it to compress. Reinstall the upper half of your steering column cover. Be sure to line up this little rubber boot for your gear selector lever. Just kind of line up the channels and slide it in there. This is the detent that we had to hit on the ignition cylinder. So slide that back in. Make sure your key is in all the way before you start doing this. Slide it all the way in. Turn it forward and back to make sure it engages. Reinstall your tilt lever. Place one hand firmly on top of the steering column. Release the lever and slowly allow it to go up. One thing you don't want to do, and I'm just going to do this for demonstration purposes, is just release the lever, because that thing really moves. If this isn't aligned, or your shifter's not in the right place, you've left a tool in there, or even worse, if your fingers were in here for some reason, that's going to do some damage. So make sure you let it go up slowly so you can reinstall your lower cover. Reinstall your two E5 inverted Torx screws into the upper steering column cover. Remove the tilt latch rod again. And now these hooks need to slide in and under and then pull forward to engage. Line up the lower boot for your gear selector after you've set the hooks in the back of your column cover. Snap everything back into place. Once it's lined up, reinstall your two T25 Torx screws in the bottom of the column. Reinstall your tilt lever. Carefully reinstall the harness for your clock spring, and then pull the alignment pin out of your new part. Reinstall your wheel onto the splines. Now, one of the cool things about these wheels is they have a keyed spline, so you can see I can't get it on, and then it lines up and falls right in. Install the 21mm nut as tight as you can. Torque the steering wheel nut to 29 foot-pounds. Make sure to attach the harness back into its clips, as well as the one on the airbag, but we'll reconnect our connector and install our safety tab first. Slide the bag into place and just push it in firmly to engage all four clips. Now, the most important step anytime you work on your airbags or anything that has to do with the airbag system is put your key in, turn it to the run position, then reconnect your negative battery terminal. Remember to tighten this down with a 5/16 wrench. Now, the reason we do this in the order that we did is power just came back on in the vehicle and our key is already on. So if anything bad had happened with the airbag, like a chafed wire or some other issue, the bag would have deployed now while we're out here safely under the hood, rather than once we get in the vehicle and turn the key and we're sitting right in front of it. While airbags are meant as a safety device, in improper conditions, they can be very dangerous.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.